Hi, this is Munson with Munson Music, and we're going to talk about how you could easily strum through The Sky is Crying by Stevie Ray Vaughan. And we're not going to talk about how you detune and play it exactly like Stevie Ray, but what we're going to do is kind of work it as kind of a capo second, as kind of an easy blues, just to kind of, that way you can just jump into it without having to retune your guitar. And we're going to start out on an A major chord, and we're going to work at the typical 12-bar blues in A. And the way you play A major, first finger goes the D string on the second fret, second finger on the G string on the second fret, third finger on the B string on the second fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds an A major chord that sounds really, really happy. Now, because of the bluesy nature of the tune, though, you may want to think about using something called an A7, where you could take the A major that we're on and lift off the second finger, which is always a dangerous finger to lift off. Or you could even kind of readjust that and make that first finger second finger. Or you could even take the pinky and kind of add it in on the high E on the third fret, and that's another way you could play A7 too. So it just makes it sound really nasty using the A dominant sevens, but very bluesy. And then from there we're going to be going to a D major chord. When we play D major, first finger goes to the G on the second fret, second finger on the high E on the second fret, third finger on the B string on the third fret. And if you strum the D, G, B, and E, kind of the skinny four strings, that sounds a D major chord. Now you can also use something called D7, which sounds a little bit more bluesy. And the way you play D7, first finger goes to the B string on the first fret, second finger on the G string on the second fret, and the third finger on the high E string on the second fret. And if you strum just the D string to the high E string, that sounds a D dominant 7. It sounds really, really nasty. And then from the D7, we're going to be going back to the A. And then we do another A. And then we go back to D. Another D, and then we go back to A, and another A, and then we go to a E major chord. When we play E major, first finger goes to the G string on the first fret, second finger goes to the A string on the second fret, and the third finger goes to the D string on the second fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds like E major chord, and it sounds really, really happy. But if you want that to sound a little bit bluesier, you can lift off the third finger and kind of make it just first finger and second finger, and that's something called E7. Or you can even take the pinky from where you are and kind of add it in on the B string third fret and make it a really nasty, evil E7, which I love. And then from there we go to D7, and then we go back to the A, and we're going to kind of end up having some chords and something called a turnaround at the end, where we do A and D, and then A and then B a little bit quicker than the other chords. Now, there are a lot of different strum patterns that you could use through this song, though. But just to kind of get the bluesy feel, you may want to start out with something called a swing eighth note, which is where you kind of take it just long downs and then short ups. So on the A, I've got down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, A. So kind of thinking long shorts. Long, short, long, short, long, short. The only weird part is when we get to the end on the turnaround, we'll have kind of just a down up on each of the chords at the very end to kind of have all the rest of them will have 4 down ups on them. So if we tried that through our verse chorus or through our chord progression, we'd have A, 2, 3, 4, D, 2, 3, 4, A, 2, 3, 4, A, 2, 3, 4, D, 2, 3, 4, D, 2, 3, 4, A, 2, 3, 4, A, 2, 3, 4, E, 2, 3, 4, D, 2, 3, 4, then A, D, A, E. Now behind that, though, you'll kind of hear this little triplet feel in the drum part, where you got kind of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And that's something called a triplet, where you're dividing the beat into 3 parts. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And you can kind of use that as your strum too. So on the A, you may want to just kind of thinking 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, down, up, down, up, down, up, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we tried that, the weird part is at the end where we kind of have that. So we have down, up on the A, down, up, down, up, down, up on the B, down, up, down, up, down, up on the A, and then the E settles down. try it that way, we'd have A, B, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, A, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, I would think about using those, some blues licks, and actually this is going to be very, very cool. You could take the first finger and go to the A string on the second fret, and we'll start out with what we use for the E chord, actually something called a E lick, where you do the first finger on the A string second, and you take your pick and kind of do just 2 string strums over the E and the A, and you can kind of take that swing 8, that down, up, long, short idea. And then we do it down up with the first finger on the second fret on the A, and then take the third finger and go to 4th fret on the A string, and then do another down up. So we got down up with the first finger on the A second, down up with the third finger on the A fourth. So we're going down, up, and we're using the first finger going to the third finger. Now there are a lot of different variations of this too you may want to experiment with. You could do kind of a 1, 1, 3, 1, 1, 3, 1, where I'm doing down up on 1, down on the 3, up on the 1. Anticipate it, and that can sound a little bit more bluesy that way. Something else you may want to experiment with is using that third finger on the low E string for your E lick. And something that's going to sound really cool is to kind of work it as kind of a blues walk on the A string. 1, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. You can get all kinds of crazy cool sounds actually kind of playing around with where those fingers are going through that E lick. And then for the A chord, we could use an A lick where we do the first finger on the D string second fret and use the open A to kind of get those same sounds around the A and the D string. And then for your D chords, you could use a D lick where you do the first finger on the G string second and get those same kind of sounds around the D string and the G string. So kind of doing that down ups on just the middle 2 strings for those. So if we tried it that way, we'd have kind of the A lick, D lick, A lick, A lick, D lick, D lick, A lick, E lick, D licks. And then we get to the turnaround, you can do 1 A, and then 1 D, and then 1 A, and then 1 E. So kind of 2 beats on that turnaround lick where you have the A lick for 2, D lick for 2, so it's just 1 lick that we kind of end up doing on each one. All the other measures we're kind of filling in with 2 licks on each one. Now the weird part is to play along with Stevie Ray Vaughan though. Instead of starting on an A major chord or A7 chord, he's actually starting on a B chord. So what you want to do to play along with the recording is take a capo, and if you put the capo on 2nd fret, then your A is really a B or a B7, and the D is really an E7, and our E major is really an F sharp major. So we took it from the very, very beginning that way. We could just do just the down ups to it. We have A, kind of practicing that swing down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, A, long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short. D, kind of figure out your own way of kind of playing. You may want to kind of play around with a couple of those options and kind of mix up what we've been talking about actually. How you might want to throw in some of the chords, some of the triplets, or some of the licks. Kind of figure out your own kind of way of kind of playing through the skies. Now there are lots of really cool leads through this, and actually I'm sure you can find really good tabs online for a lot of the licks that Stevie Ray Vaughan is working. Cool lead licks through the song though, and if you want to kind of jam around with it, a lot of the scales that the main scale that Stevie Ray Vaughan plays off of is something called a pentatonic scale, which means a 5-note scale. And for this particular song, you'd want to use a B minor pentatonic scale to solo over it. So you'd start on the low E string on the 7th fret. I'm thinking real frets now. Then you have 10th fret on the low E string, and then 7 on the A, and then 9 on the A, and then 7 on the D, 9 on the D, 7 on the G, 9 on the G, 7 on the B, and then 10 on the B, and then 7 on the high E, and then 10 on the high E string. And the notes you're actually playing, you're going B, D, and then E and F sharp, and then A, and then B, and then kind of starting that over. D and E and F sharp and A and B and D. So there are a lot of different licks that you may want to kind of play around with that. If you know how to do hammer-ons, where you kind of play the first note and kind of put your finger down on the next note of the scale, that's called a hammer-on. So kind of one pick and then getting the sound to carry over. So that could be a cool thing to kind of say. And the way I actually kind of think about this is almost as if your scale is your alphabet, and licks become kind of like little words. So you can kind of work that as kind of a hammer-on idea, as kind of words. Or you could play the 10th fret, for instance, and kind of let them fall off the string to the 7th fret, kind of on one pick. And that's called a pull-off. So you may want to play around with kind of pull-offs. It's kind of an idea to play lead stuff over it. Or you could work slides, where you kind of slide from one note to the next note of the scale. Or you could work down slides. That has kind of an idea through the scale. It's kind of another word to say. Or you could do bends, where you kind of press up and into the guitar, and this Ray is the master. Or you could do vibrato, which is where you kind of do a bend and kind of shake the note a lot, actually, a lot of little small bends. And it's amazing how Stevie Ray does that. Actually, his vibrato is almost on every note. Even if you slow it down at half speed, you can still hear him shaking everything. So what you may want to do is kind of take those ideas and then kind of just jam to the song, because you got to end up with some very cool licks kind of working just those ideas of hammer-ons and pull-offs, or maybe kind of putting those together. Or, of course, you can go and find the tab and then retune your guitar and then play along with Stevie, which is another option there too. But that's an easy way that you can kind of strum through The Sky is Crying by Stevie Ray Vaughan. Good luck!